Well, welcome back to the Pac-12 Perspective Podcast. Yogi Roth, Ashley Adamson. And my favorite part, I think, of doing this pod over the last 3 months is all the people we've gotten to know and all the different conversations and perspectives that we've been able to hear. And today, Yogs, I'm pumped. We got a colleague from the conference hopping on to share some insight on what it's like to be working in the league office right now. Chris Grant, the Associate Commissioner of Sports Management and Championships at the Pac-12. I know you can't see his face right now, but I'm telling you, he's got a smile that will light up any room. It is lighting up the Zoom call right now. Chris, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley and Yogi. Thank you both for having me. And I think it's something that I have some gems deep down inside of me to share with everyone in the world today. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
Totally. I think it's interesting because we've had from Steve Kerr on this podcast, we've had Jason Terry, we've had every football coach, but we haven't really had somebody, to my knowledge, that is the son of a coach, a former college athlete. You've worked for conferences, you've worked for schools, and now you're in the middle of what is a pandemic, what is one might argue, a brilliant time to be alive. Right. And you're probably feeling it, so I wanted to just ask you right off the bat, because you're connected to student athletes, and our student athletes have a voice right now that is beautiful around social and racial injustice. Right. You're also connected to the conference, and is football going to happen, which we're going to get to. But I'm just curious for you in the middle of it with your background, like what is it like to be you right now?
Talking to a few colleagues back on campus, and it's best explained, and it's like the stock market, some emotional highs and some emotional lows, as we go through the pandemic, and of course everything with the Black Lives Matter, which of course dear to heart to me, as we go through, and then being an outlet for student athletes, kind of where I put my focus most of my time, and of course family too, but more so the student athletes, knowing that they're hurting, all over that. First of all, some of the sports seasons were canceled, spring sports, and then that left us in flux. Okay, where do we go from here? Now, okay, are we coming back to campus? So we get to be with our peers, will we have a career going forward? What's coming to things being done at the conference? And let alone, now it's the Black Lives Matter movement. It's something that I've always been a part of, right? I mean, being a Black man and, growing up in certain environments, and of course have my stories, and but at the same time, knowing that it's my part and my opportunity now, and using this Pac-12 platform to make a better today for tomorrow's future, and so, so being in this role, it's, at times it can be daunting, because a lot of coaches, administrators, there's a lot of questions, and a lot of student athletes as well. I had a lot of questions, and we don't have all the answers, but at the same time, it's fun being creative and getting to those answers, and some of those answers, and involving everyone as a part of the process so that everyone has a voice and being sure they're not left out.
So Chris, tell me what that looks like, because you mention all the different parties involved, and you talk about, speaking directly to student athletes and obviously everyone around our universities and the conference office itself, as well as the other Power 5 conferences and coaches. What do those conversations look like? Are they kind of one-offs? Are they formal forums? Just tell me about that aspect of it.
Yeah, well, I'll discuss the scenario planning aspect first, and going to that, of course, everyone knows what happened in spring, the cancellations, and it took a lot of conversations to get everyone to wrap their head around: is this final? Are you sure you're not going to come back and say in 2 weeks we have games? And it's like, no, this is final, and the impact it had on lives, and especially the student athletes. That's why we have our jobs. I think at Pac-12, so many elite institutions and phenomenal student athletes that we come across daily, and that we want to be just as perfect as them, and knowing that this is dear to their hearts, and they want to succeed, they want to win championships, they want to be Olympians, and that's phenomenal. So yeah, initially a lot of one-offs, of course internally. Luckily we have a great team on Pac-12 Conference, Pac-12 networks to work together to get our messaging out, and be on the same page. I think some of those relationships that we have internally really helped us succeed and make sure we got it right on the back end. And now, we're in that middle phase of, okay, what's our action plan and how is that going about? And that's been very collegial amongst our coaching groups individually, definitely amongst the staff, keeping in daily communication, for emails, text messages, because, get information from the NCAA, but it starts at the state and local governments. So educating our membership, hey, all decisions aren't conference related. We're simply going off what's happening locally in your communities. And so we want to be on par with that, knowing that it may provide some inequities, but at the same time, as long as you all are on the same page with knowing that we have your best interest in mind going forward, and that we're going to operate for all 12 universities as membership, and not for individuals, I think is what really gone over very well with the membership. And then, and last but not least, the student athletes that I spoke of, I've been lucky. I've had a lot of opportunities to spend time individually, whether it be media days and, or on-site at championships, or when I'm visiting campuses, stopping by practices, to spend a lot of time with, student athletes, not only, your men's basketball, football, women's basketball, but from gymnastics to volleyball, the baseball. It's just all different sports, and tennis. And, of course, with social media now, they have access. And a lot of times, they see my face. And as we talk about, the Black Lives Movement, and it's like, I can't believe it's a Black man doing what you do that's so important behind the scenes. And, for me, it's kind of humbling, because I never consider myself above, what the overall mission is, providing, a great experience, student athlete experience for our 12 institutions. But needless to say, it helped me understand and take a step back even further. Like, hey, this is way, way bigger than, what you're doing in yourself. It's, it's a lot of people watching, and they need to hear from you. And so instead of, I haven't been active on social media lately, and I kind of been taking it all in. Like I said, it's those emotional roller coasters, but at the same time, reaching out to student athletes individually that, some that I might have a personal relationship to, or some that I might get a IG direct message or Twitter, and hey, you have time to talk and this and that. No one, they're just navigating. They're trying to find out what's going on, whether with the future or what's in store for them, going on, and want someone to talk to. And I love being that resource and never having to close the door.
When you go back to the early 2000s, we all played our respective sports at the same time. And did you have anybody that breathed life into dialogue around racism when you were in college? And if so, curious what that was like. And if not, is that something in the back of your mind now of when and why you're talking to Pac-12 student athletes?
Yeah, I did. And it goes back even before then. I'll go back, and we discussed it. Like, I hail from the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio. But my mother's side of the family, it was, I have some uncles, but I have 5 strong Black women on that side that would take down anyone in that stadium on a Hall of Fame game day, as far as the NFL game goes. But needless to say, like, they helped me navigate early on, going to spend summers back with them. But hey, you're going to face challenges as a Black man, but you're going to live this life unapologetically as a Black man and go forward and make it better for my sons, your nephew, your cousin, whoever coming behind you. And I really took that hard. I didn't understand it then. But as I kept evolving, matriculating through high school and middle school, and then got to see on my dad's side of the family, they're more the athletes. And so using sports as a platform for change was amazing, and especially on that side of the family. So kind of mending both together, it kind of gave me a voice internally. Went to a predominantly white high school in Dayton, Ohio, Beaver Creek High School. And I remember going home telling my mother, like, being recruited by some predominantly white institutions, but I really want to get back to my roots and I have a better understanding of what the Black community, what it is. And, I'm missing that right now. And that's why I chose Kentucky State University. And so I had a community, Yogi, just, a lot of strong Black men and women. And, we still had white professors and we had white students that also went. I think we ended up having more white students at the institution than Black, even though it was a historically Black college. But I did have a mentor in Mr. Isidore Rich, who was our academic advisor, that, we didn't have life skills or student athlete development then, but pulled me aside and said, hey, people are watching you, because not only you're having some success on the football field, but you carry yourself a little different than the rest of the student athletes. So it's that much more important that you not only represent this athletic department and yourself and your family the right way, but that you maintain that presence and carry this torch on and be a voice for Kentucky State University going forward. And so I've kind of taken that, put that chip on my shoulder, and had a lot of fun with it along the way.